Okay, cool. Good afternoon. As Kate said, I'm Kevin Trustham. I'm the Commercial Services Coordinator at Lismore City Council. Danielle was meant to be doing this presentation for us. We actually had a knee reconstruction last week, so she's a little bit out of action. Okay, so our presentation is about community-based education, creating community pride, and it revolves around the establishment of our MRF in Lismore. So Lismore City Council has a business unit called Northern Rivers Waste, which was established in around 2000, so this year's our 15th birthday. Northern Rivers Waste operates, runs all council's waste initiatives and recycling initiatives, and it's set up like a business, so we generate incomes back for council. We run about 46 staff, everything's done ourselves. We run on day labour, no contracts. We bring in contract shredders to shred our compost, but the rest is done ourselves. So what we do, Northern Rivers Waste runs a composting facility for the region, so we take compost and green waste and food organics from the entire region. We have our MRF and glass processing plant. We have a retail section, so we have a second-hand shop, but also a retail shop in our CBD where we actually sell new products back to the public to help them recycle better. So that's things like worm farms, compost bins, compostable nappies, biodegradable bags, caddies and drink bottles, lots of different things to help them reduce their waste. We have our education centre and our education program. Our residents actually get charged a waste levy through their rates that actually pays for all of our waste minimisation and education initiatives. We have a C&D processing facility, transfer stations, recycling drop-off centres, lots of different things. So we have a very, very broad scope of activities. So our MRF, it opened last year, and we built that because we used to send our recyclables away to Queensland. A lot of it would end up in landfill because it'd be too broken, too compressed. Particularly the glass, about 80% of the glass we were sending to Queensland was ending up in landfill. So we're looking at a solution that we could do locally that would provide local jobs. So the MRF is definitely ticks that box. It employs around 13 staff through that facility, and around 10 of those are actually social enterprise staff from House to No Steps. So they do the sorting activities. The MRF includes a glass processing facility where we make glass sand, and that's actually used within council. So we're lucky council has its own quarry and asphalt operations. So we use all the glass internally, meet the EPA requirements, and it's going very, very well. So the MRF has a capacity of 15,000 tonnes per annum, and at the moment we're processing recyclables from Lismore, from Tenterfield, from Richmond Valley, from Ballina, and commercially in town as well. So a contractor, Richmond Waste in town, that does commercial businesses, brings all the recycling there as well. And Byron Bay is coming online with us in August. So it's a truly regional facility, and we're creating a sort of a recycling hub in the North Coast. So because our MRF and because of the way we operate, we have control from recyclables, from the curbside to processing. So the MRF enabled us to bring a whole heap of new programs online because we controlled the system. These, for example, we allowed residents to put plastic bags and soft plastics in their recycling bin. So we have these bags. The residents can put all their soft plastics in. They can use any plastic bag, but we had these done as a gimmick. Put them all in, time up and put them in top of their recycling bin, and our staff pull them out during the sorting process. We do the same with bag polystyrene. We did lots of trials to get polystyrene through the plant, and bagging it was the best way because some of it does break up in the back of the trucks, and that's pulled out as well. We process it, extrude that and send that direct to China. Another initiative we introduced was resource recovery satchels, which are these beauties, which residents can put things like household batteries, printer cartridges, mobile phones, CDs and DVDs, corks, reading glasses and x-rays in, seal it up when it's full and put in the recycling bin, and our staff pull that out as well. So that reduces the need of having drop-off places all around town, and it's been really, really popular with our community. And the last thing, because we have a glass processing plant, we've expanded our recycling program to include items such as crockery and drinking and window glass that otherwise wouldn't go in a recycling bin. So they get crushed and made into the glass sand as well. So that's really expanded the way that we deliver recycling programs to the community. So getting to the ownership part, the centrepiece of our education program was, I guess, the name of the MRF. So we called it our MRF, and was all about creating community ownership because it really was a community facility. The ratepayers are paid for it. And the MRF also emphasises the need of the community to do the right thing. So making sure they're recycling as much as possible and getting their recyclables and keeping contamination out. So making sure everything's right. And that really worked for us. Through the process, we used a whole heap of different slogans, such as join the recycling revolution. So we actually used the recycling revolution slogan a lot because it was really changing the way that we were recycling in Lismore. We used slogans like we need people power to make it work, as I said, the Our Murph slogan, and recycle right to help make our Murph a success. So we use that on social media, all of our brochures, our signs, the sides of our trucks. It was used everywhere, and that really involved the community in the process. Now we had, because of the Murph, because of all these changes we've made, and because of the old rules we had around recycling, like taking caps off and flattening and washing your bottles out and stuff, we decided to come up with a system to give the most 12 important rules to the community. So we called that the Dirty Dozen, the 12 rules for your yellow bin. And we used local kids in the artwork, and I'll just go through what they mean and what they were. So rule 1 was bag the bag. So that's bagging your soft plastics in a bag, tying the top and putting in your recycling bin. Rule 2 was pretty much as an educational process just to remind the residents that the glass they put in their bins were going to be used in your road. So in time you'll be driving on the glass that would have otherwise ended up in landfill, and we're just lucky because of the Quarry Operations Council has that we really could do that. Rule 3 was no strings attached. As everyone would know, Murphs hate strings and bras and cords and wire, and because it binds up everything. So we use that one to encourage residents to keep all that stuff, all that material out of their recycling bin and put it in their waste bin. Number 4 was don't wash. So, we used to tell our residents to wash their containers before they put them in the bin. Now we're telling them not to bother. Don't worry, make sure they're empty, shake as much out as you can, put the cap on and put it in your recycling bin. So our recyclers are happy to accept material that's like that because it's all washed during the recycling process anyway. Clean polystyrene was rule number 5. So as I said before, residents could bag their polystyrene, put it in their recycling bin, and we'd pull that out. Number 6 is about leaving labels on. So in the glass plant pulls the labels off. And then in the recycling processes at the recycling plants, where our recyclables go, the labels come off anyway. So to make it easier, we've just told residents, don't worry about taking your labels off either. Number 7 was about not packing your recycling bin, not stacking and packing things into each other, because Murphs really can't sort stuff out unless it's really loose. So that's why we had number 7, which is loosen up. Number 8 was about plastics. So we've done lots of research on recycling plastics, really broken the myths on the recycling triangles, and told our residents if it's hard, it can go in your recycling bin, whether it's kids' toys, pots, punnets, anything that's hard, even if it has a triangle or not, can still go in your recycling bin, and we sort it out and it gets sent away and is recycled. Number 9 is the satchel program, which I just described. Really successful. One of the biggest PR exercises councils used is give those out to the community, same as our bio bags years ago. It was one of those things residents love getting something that they can put stuff in. And when they go to pay their rate, so they pick one of those up and they think they're getting something for the money they're spending. So it works really well. Number 10 is no food, please. So it's about keeping food waste out of the recycling bin, either in containers or loose. We used to get a lot of residents, as everyone would, that put food in their recycling bins when they get a little bit confused about how to do things. Number 11 is put a lid on. We found out that through the process, the Murph, that lids, because they're small, they just fell out, were going to landfill. So we asked our residents to put lids back on the containers. So the glass plant screens the lids out, especially if they're steel lids, they come out with magnets. So if they're on the glass, when it's broken down, it comes out that way. And on the plastics, the plastics bowl really well with the lids on, and it keeps the lids in the process, so they're shipped off for recycling as well. So we encourage residents to put the lid on back on. And the last one is every little bit counts. Now, it was all about the small bits of plastic, so things like lollipop sticks, little ring pulls off milks and juice, all the little tiny bits and bread clips. We're asking residents to put them inside a milk bottle, put the lid on, and chuck that in your recycling bin. And that's really worked well, and I have a photo in a minute to show you about how that worked. So the community engagement, how we delivered our message. We had an information package that went out to residents, so they got that in the mail when the system came online. Coinciding with the Murph, Council actually produced its new publication called Local Matters, a fortnightly newsletter that gets mailed to every resident. So Council's really gone away from using print advertising. We used to put everything in the newspaper. Now we deliver straight to the residents' doors in their mailbox every fortnight, and that's been really successful. The uptake of all the initiatives in that newsletter have been really, really interesting, and the community's been really embracive. Social media was really important. We ran lots of Facebook ads and Facebook promotion as the plant was being built, raising anticipation, introducing to the changes, and also running competitions. And that worked really well. We've never used social media before this initiative, and it's really shown that the community's changed in the way they receive our information. We had a community open day, and it really showed the champions that came out in the community. Residents turned up in our open day with a little bit of plastic, it might have been a bit of foil from a chip pack, and said, what do we do with this and what do we do with that? And it just showed that the residents are really keen to recycle everything they can. We had public displays at events, truck art artwork on our trucks, and our waste facility and in the community. We had a grand opening of the facility where we had the local member Thomas George open the plant, which was really, really cool. School programs and tours, so lots of schools come through. We go to schools, talk about the programs. The schools all get the satchels as well, and they collect through school. And lots of community groups, so we have lots of the Probus clubs and the Lions clubs all coming through and checking out what we're doing. So as I said, we did an information package. It included a flyer on how the MRF works, what the changes are, and what to expect when the system came online. We gave ongoing updates during construction, so pictures on Facebook showing the process, what's coming and how it's working. As I said, the local newsletter, Local Matters, delivered to the households, really popular by the residents. Truck artwork, council is actually lucky we have a sign shop within council with a big digital printer that can print any sign, any artwork, can wrap any vehicle, so we use that to our advantage. Getting out to the community, we go to Lismore Show, to NAIDOC Day, to the shopping centres, and we had our open days and the MRF opening, so you can see the mayor's with the kids off the advertising. So that was really exciting, and yeah, there's some more Facebook. We ran a Facebook competition with a question about the rule one day, then they had to answer, and we gave the answer the next day, and we gave away some iPads that way, and that was really, really popular as well. And there's some more from the Facebook competition. Site tours. Now this is a really exciting bit. Kids love recycling, as you would know. The little kid in the middle holding the bottle at the top. They come a few weeks after the MRF open. That little kid filled his bottle at home with all little bits of plastics and brought it in and gave it to my MRF manager and said, look, I did what you asked to do, what you asked us to do. And that just showed that, right down to the grassroots, to the kids, that the system was working, that the teachers were telling the kids all about it, and it just worked really well. And you can see the kids also love playing in the glass. It's like going to the beach when you come to the waste facility, which is really good. So we learned a few things. 12 rules is a lot, and it is hard for people to digest, but we thought packaging it up as a dozen, the dirty dozen, was the best way to do it. And we basically told residents that's the things you need to look at, and don't worry about everything else. The fridge magnets were a bit unsuccessful, so we'd definitely probably not do that again. It's a real waste of money. Residents, the advertising, social media works a lot better. The community likes new information, but they like us to reiterate the old information, so why we're doing things, not just the new stuff. The use of the champion, so things like this little boy that we had a minute ago, the residents that come in and ask the questions, they're our champions, they're the people that are getting people talking in the community. The talk on Facebook and on social media was really interesting, a lot of support for council and its recycling initiatives. As Sparky said, sparking conversations on social media has a really positive effect. Everyone asks questions, wants to know more. And sometimes when a question's asked, it's not council answering the question, it's actually other residents answering the question to someone else, which really shows a broad understanding of what we're trying to do. And that's it. So I don't know how long I took, but... Okay, so any questions? Yep. Not necessarily. If there's Yeah, with the satchels, our guys open them up and sort the materials out. So if they do put the wrong thing in, it's vetted out at that stage. And the guys use PPE when they're sorting those, like they do with the recyclables in the MRF. So we make sure they're safe. So someone, might have accidentally put some sharps or something sharp or breakable in there. It's recovered safely, and we deal with that. Haven't had too much. Had a bit of loose stuff from the satchels come through. So residents seen that they can put a mobile phone in their bin, meant to be through the satchel, but they might put it through loose. Not so much in plastic bags. So we're pretty lucky. We've made the satchels very available to the community. They can come in and get them. A lot of people come in and pay their rates, so they can get them then. We have them at the libraries and lots of places around town, so they can access them. And as they're quite large, they do last a while as well. Yep. A few other councils are looking at it the moment. Because the artwork we have on them is Lismore centric, it's one of those things we have to, provide artwork and get the other councils to change it. And a lot of the councils, because we push the boundaries, a lot of the other councils using our MRF didn't want to push the boundaries as hard in the first instance, because recycling was a lot newer to those communities. So they've committed to bringing certain aspects in time. So Richmond Valley, for example, has the bag program running. Doesn't have satchels yet, but I hope they do soon. Yep.
Do you find with that, obviously promoting the plastic bags, though, that you're getting increasing people actually putting their recycling in plastic bags?
No, we actually, the community's been quite receptive. Part of that plastic bag program was telling them to put them in the bags and not put them loose. And there was part of the loosen up rule was to not bag your recyclables as well. So there hasn't been not a huge increase in bagged recyclables, which is good.
You work out the safety stuff, actually, I guess we're all in the same boat where we all get told by our nurse that, they can't open bag recycling, so if you put a bag of recycling in a plastic bag and then you yell it in when it gets to the MRF, it gets landfilled.
Yes, no, we still landfill bagged recycling. Yep. Just because we're doing all this stuff, plus it's just too hard to do that. Yep. Yep.
With the small plastics in the milk bottle, some of those plastics through the sorting process won't be compatible, so two in a float tank or sink and they're non-recyclable. What happens with that?
Well, we're lucky where our plastics go at the moment, they go as a mixed stream, so we don't separate them any further. And the plant that processes them, they make farm plastic, so fence posts and things like that. Any plastic goes into that system. So at the moment, we're quite lucky that the system allows us to do that. Okay, yep. So the MRF opened in May last year. The education program kicked off in early January last year, but when we actually got the funding from the EPA and from the packaging covenant and council approved, went through the tender process, probably 6 months prior to that we started saying this is coming, council's doing this, and then in that time the rules and everything was created. So in the January we started feeding the information out to the public. We have, yep, it still continues today. The local newsletter still gets the information from time to time. We've just run a Facebook competition in the last month again, just to reiterate the rules and get people thinking about that. Which, they were getting, I think, about 120 people answering the question each day, and that went for 2 weeks. So there was lots of good take up. For Lismore itself, it's less than 3%. The MRF as a whole varies between 5 and 10, so some of the other councils, it's really hard, and that's one issue we're really grappling with at the moment, how we evolve our education program to involve the other councils as well. So, everything we've pushed has been Lismore centric, but now there's other councils come on board, how we spread that message, how we involve those other councils to improve their contamination rates. So that's the next challenge for us.